Welcome back to the Happy Hippie Podcast, everybody. My name is Amanda McCormack. I am the host of this show. We basically talk about all things that can make you happy, whether it's mindset techniques, working out, fitness, nutrition, wellness, all that good stuff. We debunk myths, we go into different topics, and today I'm just going to share a little bit of advice. Why should you listen to me? Well, because I have been there. That's my certification. Basically, I've gone through it and I'm sharing everything that I have learned that has actually brought me into waking up every day and being extraordinarily happy. I have my ups and downs, and that's why I want to share what I share on this podcast, because the stuff works. I always go back to it to not fix me, but just to get me out of funks, to bring me back into my passion, into my alignment, all those things. I'm also a yoga teacher, a certified nutrition coach, and a certified personal trainer, as well as a women's coaching specialist. So if you don't want to believe me based on the advice, I also do have those titles. Today's episode is all about escaping the comparison trap, which I think is the deadliest trap. What is that literal quote that goes against the title of this entire podcast? It's called "Comparison is the thief of joy, the thief of happiness," because it is. We're going to go into a little bit of brain science on why we actually compare ourselves. Why does it come up? You're not crazy. Your brain's almost wired to compare you to other people and give you those thoughts and feelings that you have when you compare yourself. We're going to share a little bit about how to get out of it, and some weird things that are linked to it that you would not expect. So we're just going to jump right into today's episode, escaping the comparison trap. So first off, just think about the world we live in. It's really weird. Humans were not designed to live the way we do. We see so much on your phone. Think about when you turn on your phone. You have so many apps to go through. The main 4 or 5 social media apps that we use these days is scrolling based, which enables you to not only see tons of posts from people you know or people you knew that you're not connected with anymore, or strangers, and you're just scrolling and there's endless amounts of content. Most of these platforms also have stories, so not only can you scroll down and look at all these main posts, but you're scrolling like horizontally as well, clicking and going through different stories, different updates, all these different things in the matter of minutes. Now think about how the world was before we could do this. We can also travel and go to all these different places and come into contact with all these different people when the world was literally super old. Sometimes I feel like I'm sounding really smart and then I use sentences like when the world was really super old. But back in the good old days, when we were almost like nomadic people and we were just living in small tribes, that's the extent of people that you knew. Or if you were living in a small town back in the 1800s, you weren't traveling too far. You had to travel like 18 hours to get to the next town. You were staying in your small town. You were staying in the small town and knowing the same people, and that was it. The extent of the world was like 200 people for you. And that was a lot. And it is a lot when you think of it. Like even today when we compare followers and people are like, oh, they have thousands of followers. I only have 300. Imagine 300 people in a room. Like that's actually a big number when you think about it. So think about how much you're consuming, how many people you follow, how many people you quote unquote know or don't know. It's just so overwhelming for the human brain. You're knowing about what people are doing every second of the day. That's also not how the world works without technology. And you weren't constantly thinking about what people were doing. Maybe you were, but you couldn't find out instantly, you know? If you want to know what someone's doing, you can go look at their story right now. You can find strangers and get lost in their Instagram pages. Like, it's crazy the amount of accessible information, profiles, faces, videos that we can just look at. And I know I'm not like anti-technology or anything. I'm just saying think about it, because we don't take a step back and go, whoa, that is actually a lot for our brains to be taking in. So in your mind, everybody you know is pretty much like your tribe, your group of people, the small town lifestyle. But I follow like 8,000 people on Instagram alone, I think. So like the way that I am every day seeing 8,000 people's information come in and out, and some people post a lot, some people don't post, but you're just getting so much information in and out of your brain that it's really overwhelming for the brain. So no wonder we're comparing ourselves to things. We're seeing things that like we weren't wired to see, seeing things that we weren't wired to almost comprehend. You may sit there and think, oh my God, all these people are doing this and that, but it's, I guess people were always doing things like that, like even in like the 20th century, but we didn't have the access to see it, you know? If you just take a step back and think about, you're seeing, for example, people are always talking about, oh my God, everybody's like traveling, everybody's like getting married. People were always traveling, people were always getting married, but you weren't seeing it every single day. When you think about the probability, like I said, I have 8,000 people that, I don't know how many of those are active accounts, but you get the point. That's a lot of people coming in and out of just one of my social media feeds. the probability of a bunch of people out of that 8,000 who are all different ages and all different things going through some really cool life events, or not historic, but like, you know, like marriage and like getting a home and all that stuff that people like idolize, or like, you know, teach you to idolize. At least you're going to see a lot of it, you know, especially when you follow the amount of people that we do. The probability of seeing a lot of people going through a lot of different things in life, and you're almost keeping up with everybody's lives at once, you're going to get tons of that information. So when you take a step back and just think of it that way, I don't know, it almost like soothes me. I'm like, oh yeah, it really is just people, 8,000 people posting their highlights, their big things in life. And there's nothing wrong with it per se. But when you're ingesting all of that information all at once, every day, nonstop, it can kind of not wreak havoc, but just like stay in your brain. And you're not wrong for comparing yourself to people. And it's so easy to compare yourself to people when you're being loaded and loaded with information every single day from tons of people doing tons of things. Because of that, we almost, and you see it develop like every year, we establish our own like norms, our own like societal norms, what's okay to post, what's not okay, like what's trendy. I mean, I've even fallen into bits of this too, but like making your entire Instagram like around trends, or only posting things that are trendy. Like for a while, like I would only post short captions. Like I wouldn't even type full grammatical sentences on Instagram because I was like, losers do that. So I would write like a few words, or I'd even like go all lowercase because everyone else was doing it too. And I was like, if I didn't do it, but I wasn't thinking this was just pushed in my brain because I was seeing it every day. And I was like, all the cool people are posting like 4-word captions, so I'm gonna post 4-word captions. Or I interpreted what I thought was cringy and I would stay away from it. Or I realized like people don't post these types of stories, so I'm not going to post these types. Like I was getting very influenced by it. So I don't know if that's something that you relate to as well, but the trends and what's going on like really do affect you subconsciously in some of your decision making. Worst of all, like last and worst of all, I feel like Reels, like when you look at Reels and when you look at TikTok is cooler to me because you have a lot more authenticity on there, where like you got Brittany Broski and she's like in her muumuu with like her hair in a bun just talking to the camera. But anytime I go on Reels, it's like 10-second clips and they're very aesthetically pleasing, because I guess that's what Instagram originally, as a photo sharing platform, everybody wants everything a little curated. And I feel like Reels are very like, ooh, like I was gonna say posh. I don't know what that noise was, but like when I think of Reels, that's what I think of. Which then pretty much just adds to that comparison trap that you're falling into. You're seeing everybody's Reels look a certain way. My personal example would be like, as somebody who has like a business and I like to promote it and I like to make Reels and TikToks and all that stuff, sometimes I like literally stop myself from doing things because I see that the other Reels that are going out there, and I'm like, I literally can't make content that looks that way. I would see like all the grocery hauls being done in this like immaculate white kitchen. Meanwhile, like my kitchen, my dog is like passed out in the corner of every video and I'm like trying to crop him out. And I'm like, well, you know what? I can't make content that's like if I went to make my bed, like if I did a video of me making my bed, I literally have a Scooby-Doo blanket on my bed. And I was like, every video I see on Reels is like this white fluffy comforter and they have like cream walls and like a giant monstera plant. Like it's so aesthetically pleasing. And like, because I would see this content, it would almost inhibit me from doing stuff because I was like, well, that's not like how my stuff looks. You can take this into so many alleyways. I feel like body image can come into it when it comes to comparison. I'm only talking about social media right now, and I'm almost like 10 minutes into this episode. Of course, there's other types of comparison traps you can fall into in the real world, like the day-to-day things we see. But I just think social media, at least for me, that's like my main problem. When I find myself falling into comparison traps, it's when I see stuff online and I'm either like, it translates into feelings of I'm not good enough, like, and it inhibits me from taking action. So I stop doing things because I can't do it the way it's either supposed to be, quote unquote, how they look, how this looks, like I can't do that. So it gives me feelings of like unworthiness and that I can't do something. Body image issues always come from it too, just even with clients and things. That's something that comes up all the time that I see, and I've experienced it myself 100% with social media. So to sum up what I was saying in the past few minutes, just getting overwhelmed by so much information and seeing what all these people are doing who are 100% different and unique from you, and just like how you were different and unique, but we're seeing it all the time, we start to almost believe that things are supposed to be done a certain way, and that we become like outcasts for ourselves because we literally are comparing ourselves, and either one, just feeling bad, or two, it's affecting our actions some way. So I want to talk about steps to overcome this. It's not just me going to say, well, unfollow these people. I'm going to tell you steps on how to improve. It's kind of cool because there's a lot of things that this stems from. It's not just like confidence. It's not just like comparison itself, but I'm just going to show you stepping stones on how to push away from this mindset and how to literally train your brain and shift your life and your perspective away from this and to put it towards creating your own life and feeling like pretty much like you're the main character, and how to stop caring basically what other people think, because not only can you compare yourself to people and situations online, but sometimes I find that I stop myself because I also care that other people are thinking this way and that they're gonna, I don't know, they're not gonna do anything. They never will have a thought about me for 1 second in their life and move on, probably. But we're gonna learn how to become the main character in your life, how to do what you want to do, and how to stop caring and escape this comparison trap once and for all. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is just like some life advice. I'm going to give some more examples and do a little bit more step by step, but flat out, I just want to say that it's your life and you can literally do what you want, like what you crave, something that you're passionate about. If you're not doing that now, you can add that into your life and it's okay. You'll be able to do it. No matter if you think it's the norm, if you think other people are stopping you. Sometimes what I'm saying right now, you may not even be relating to comparison, but I bet comparison is playing a role in stopping you and inhibiting you from it. And you don't have to feel bad that you're comparing yourself to things. This isn't an episode to shame what you're doing now and then be like, okay, now this is what you do to be better and good. Have compassion with yourself. It's not about that. Just know that you have control, that where you are right now, you have control to change in any shape, aspect, way that you want in your life. You can shift and change from this present moment. You really can. It's not me being like, woo woo, but don't have shame of any comparison, any thoughts, any guilt, any, I should be doing this, I'm afraid of this. Don't be ashamed. That's actually helping you grow. Just know that from now on, you do have control. You can take baby steps, you can have baby thoughts, and you can get anywhere you really want to get. So when you're in the comparison trap, literally visualize it for this episode like you're in a trap, like you're in a cage. And the cage is just other people's opinions, which are literally made of dust, and you can go through them. But part of us thinks that those are metal bars and we're trapped in it and we can't move from where we are because we're either going to be stepping on people's toes, we're going to be breaking the norm, changing the narrative, and we're not supposed to. But we're going to show you how to get out of this cage today. And I'm going to teach you firstly how to make the key to put in the door and open that cage. So these are the steps on how to make the key, how to get to that pivotal point. Based on my experience and based on talking to other people, when you care, it holds you back and it reflects in a lot of different things. It reflects in the relationship that you have with friends, with your parents, with your partners, any of your romantic relationships. You'll be forced to almost repeat patterns again and again until you learn. So if you're having a struggle with comparison, or you're struggling to do what you want to do, you're letting other people's thoughts, opinions, words, things they say to you, like shape your actions, which they never should. Not never should, but in the future, as you make your new actions, it's okay if it has happened. You're learning as you go. I know I have so much. This whole episode is about how to unlearn how to not care. So if you'll notice that you're not doing things because your parents think a certain way, your friends think a certain way, people you date say certain things and think a certain way, you're holding yourself back, that is a way that you're like letting people's words hold you back, which is the same thing as when you compare somebody to something and you say, I'm not good enough. It's coming with feelings of unworthiness, feelings of fear. You're scared to take action. And you sort of self-sabotage yourself at this point. It's going to come up in small ways for you in different ways in your life. It may stem from comparison, but it may stretch into how you react in all those categories I just spoke about. We need to learn how to stop self-sabotaging because of others, whether it be comparison or words in real life. To do this, we're going to start small things that are actually going to chemically change who you are. So again, if you're keeping yourself trapped because of what other people are thinking or saying, we need to start to do things that create a different version of you, that create this new you. We need to do things that are going to put you out of your comfort zone, but very tiny things. I swear this is going to open you up to realizing comparison is not what you think it is, and that it's just a perspective that you've been having and that you can easily change and flip how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see others. So I bet you didn't expect me to say this in an episode on how to stop comparing yourself. Working out or walking in a new area or joining a new gym or taking new exercise classes, doing something new will help you get over this just a little bit. Like, it's part of building that key. Like I said, it's something that you're like, this is not the key. This is not going to open the door, but it's going to help you build that key. It truly is a stepping stone that you need. Putting yourself out there in different ways, like on a scale 1 to 10, taking a walk in a new area sounds like the most minimal thing. You're like, how is this going to help me? On a 10, I would tell you to take a trip to a different country and put yourself in a situation where you're with people that you thought would judge you. But on a level 1, just taking a walk in a new area, walking around somewhere where you don't know anybody. That's the beauty of it. You don't know anybody. They don't know you. You're just there. They're existing. You're existing. And you can kind of get used to people just existing and not caring. Trying something new like that. Try a workout class in a town over where you don't know anybody and just take the class. Being exposed to so many people will also teach you how to get over maybe hindrances you thought you had. So for example, like I've had friends and siblings who are afraid of workout classes because number one thing is you're going to think that people are looking at you, people are judging you. But when you actually go and take the class, you find out like nobody literally cares. I'm, again, speaking from experience. I have tried so many different workout classes and things that I wasn't too comfortable in. Like when I did boxing for the first time, I was so nervous. I don't know how to throw a punch. I broke my arm like twice. I can dislocate it. You imagine what my punches look like, man. They look like cartoon character-esque. Like that's what it looks like when I throw a punch. And it was so in my head, like I didn't want to go anywhere because I'm like, oh, all these people are gonna like know how to box and blah blah blah. And I went, and like after literally my first time, I was like, wow, nobody looked at me, nobody cared. Half the people in there, like nobody was a pro boxer. It was mostly moms, which I love taking workout classes because most of the time I go, it's like moms, and I love a good mom group, and they just make you feel so much better because you're like, wow, everybody here is actually doing their own thing. They're not focused on you. They also seem nice, and if they don't seem nice, again, doesn't matter. They literally are not looking at you. And sometimes like I still have these thoughts when I try like new things, but again, going for like a walk in a new area would be the lowest level. Not that low level is a bad thing. I'm just saying like stepping stones. Then maybe joining a new gym or taking a new class in a new section or just doing something different. It's going to help you build the muscle. That's what we're doing. We're building the muscle to make these choices in the future, to stop caring. This is the stop caring muscle that we were building to fruition. Another way to do that without leaving your house, try joining a new app, a new community, or a Facebook group. I swear, joining Facebook groups and like posting in it is like, it used to be so scary to me because I would join all these groups, and I found that for the longest time I loved to be an observer. Like I would not put stuff, even on like Instagram, like I wouldn't post for a long time. I just was like watching. I was like creeping. I had TikTok for like a year before I posted anything because I just wanted to like watch other people. I wasn't confident enough to like post anything. And I feel like joining Facebook groups is such a great way because again, you don't know anybody. It will show you if you even know somebody in the group, like when you're going to join it. So if that's a fear of yours, you can literally see it before you join. Like you will not know any of these people, and you can post questions and you can learn from people and you can see how open people are. There's Facebook groups for everything. Try joining like a workout group. I know like I keep going back to workout examples, but I feel like fitness and like girls are so empowering sometimes that a lot of like the learning, like a lot of influencers will have Facebook groups where like girls can ask questions about things, and it's just like a nice open community. I was in a One Direction Facebook group when I was younger that was like really nice and open. You can do it for like yoga, you can do it for anything. Just try to join a community. It could be something that you have an interest in that you don't actively go after either, and this can also be like a 2-for-1 where you start to explore your interests a little more or see other people who have the same interest as you or doing the same thing that you want to do, so you can learn from that. But you can also make an app or something. I was talking to my friend about this today. There's this app called Lemon and then the number 8, so it's like Lemon 8. Lemonade is like what it's supposed to be. It's basically like Pinterest combined with Instagram, but like it's just fun, informative, educational post, or like my 5 favorite hairstyles. Like it's just like cute stuff, but I feel more confident to post on there easily because I don't know anybody and nobody follows me, unless you want to go follow me after this episode and help me get a little bit more out of my comfort zone too. But it's a really fun app, and I really like posting on it because nobody knows me and I can post whatever I want, and I don't feel like I have that comparison thing. So like I said, I felt like it's all waves. Sometimes I'll fall back into it, but again, I use these steps like I'm doing now. I got this new app, set it up, I have my face on it. Like I'm just going to post what I want to post, and it'll help me gain that confidence again to be like, oh yeah, nobody cares. Like they'll care in a good way. People actually like the content I put up, and I'll get positive feedback, and then I'll be like, yeah, I was right. Nobody cared. It's a great thing. There's also a lot of free apps as well. So look up apps that have community sections, or just finding your tribe always helps. I find one of my next things I'm going to talk about is a little bit about traveling, but I find that I can always find people who enjoy what I enjoy, and I felt so much less crazy when I traveled. I literally cried twice. Once at my yoga teacher training talking about this topic, which growth, I'm not crying now, but I felt like back then I was able to express to them, I was like, I'm just so thankful that you guys are into what I'm into and you make me feel less crazy is what I was saying, and I broke down crying. And then literally in Hawaii too, my like first or second like staff meeting I was in, I started like crying because they were asking me like what I'm appreciative about, and I was like, well, I didn't expect to cry. I was like, well, I'm really appreciative of like everybody here being so supportive, and like I feel like I could wear what I want and say what I want and like dance around and do yoga, and like nobody's judging me, and like I feel like I have a past maybe with judgment, or like I was in my own mind about judgment. So I cried. Anytime I like talk about my feelings, and I really mean it. Like if I'm crying and talking about my feelings, like I mean that-ish. Like I mean it really bad. So going to a community and just feeling that acceptance has really, really helped me overcome my comparison thing. Because anytime after those two experiences where I got back online, or I got back to other people and I would talk about my stuff, and even if maybe they were judging me or they were a little bit like, okay, you're crazy, I'd be like, in my head, I'd be like, no, I'm fine. I can enjoy what I want to enjoy. I can do what I want to do. I can post what I want to post. I can say what I want to say, because there's people out there that are like me, and I also accept myself. But it took me a while to get to it. I had to cry a bunch of times in front of a bunch of people and travel all these places and like join all these things that made me uncomfortable, and that's where the growth really comes from, and that's what I'm talking about in this episode. It may not seem like a way to stop comparing yourself, but doing these things will build that character to help you get there. It's also just really freeing to talk to strangers. Like I feel like you can almost reinvent yourself. Like anytime I've ever done group stays or gone to different places or meeting people in like a hostel or whatever, I get to choose my elevator pitch. If I want to change it up, I can. It's so fun. Like you can just change who you are. Or if you're nervous, like do it for the first time. Just like stick a sentence in there that you never said. For a while, I used to avoid the fact that I make art. Like I would not call myself an artist. I just would avoid it because I'm like, I don't have a shop. I don't own a business. I didn't go to school for art. Like I'm not an artist, and I would ignore it. I wouldn't say it. And then recently I was like, I'm going to introduce myself as an artist. And it's so freeing because people like are like, okay, nobody cares. But then I started to say it, and then I started to believe it, and I got better at it. And then I was able to like start posting my art. Like it helped me overcome things. So introducing yourself, almost reinventing your elevator pitch when you meet people is a really fun way to push past your limits. Okay, I'm at the travel point, the bullet point that I had on my list, even though I just pretty much spoke about travel. But when you're amongst so many people, in terms of traveling to and meeting people where you stay, or just the experience of like the airport, man, the airport is the most freeing place. There are so many people, and I can 100% say nobody cares about what you're doing in any form or way. Everybody there is going somewhere, and they're thinking about where they're going. Nobody's present in an airport like ever. They're either stressed out about something, or they're thinking about the future, or they're coming back from their trip and thinking about their trip. I have cried in so many airports, and no one's even batted an eye at me, and I'm like the ugliest crier, and I'm like loud. Like I have like from nerves and stuff. Like I remember one trip, it was this year, I got stuck in an airport after like a really long flight, and I missed my flight, and I just was stressed. So I was like, I know myself, and sometimes I just have to cry and let it out. And like I could have gone in the bathroom and like stifled it, and I was like, F it. And it was just my body, and I was just like standing still on one of those moving things, just sobbing, and like nobody was looking. Like people were just going around me. It was so great. But nobody cares in an airport. You can do whatever you want. I like recently have been sleeping in airports, like on my bag. Like I would lay on the floor. I had a bunch of kids like say something to me because I was laying on the floor, and I was like drinking a Starbucks, and I was like upside down, like my legs against the wall, because I needed the blood to go back down to my thighs. I know it looks crazy, but I felt good. My ankles were not swollen after, and these kids were like making a comment, and I was like, I am literally steel at this point. Like you can say whatever. It's so fine. Like airports are like the playground for learning how to not care what people think. Nobody cares in an airport. So do something weird in the airport next time, or something that you think people will judge. Do it. Just do it. It's like the best experiment. My next tip is fashion. So one thing, it could be super small, but adding bits of what you want to wear or what you think's not acceptable or not in putting that into an outfit of yours, like on the daily, really small, will help you express yourself a lot more and just stop caring about other people's thoughts and letting it control you in any way. I started with necklaces. I started like back when I was like into crystals and stuff, but I didn't want to be like, because I had this like perception that people would think I'm crazy, and I feel like that's something I'm like always working through. But I started wearing like big crystal jewelry, like statement pieces, and it kind of like, I was like, yeah, this is what I like, and I'm gonna start wearing it. And like I would get compliments on it. Like, well, to be fair, I was in Whole Foods most of the time when I got compliments, and I feel like those are my people too. So, but I would just start wearing things, or I was afraid for the longest time. I talked about it in another episode. When I was like end of high school, early college, I thought like skinny jeans, I hate jeans. I have a grievance against denim. I hate denim. I used to think that skinny jeans were like the only thing that made me look good, and I hated wearing them, but I thought that they were acceptable because they were in. Thank God that has changed. But so I started wearing like the flowy pants that I love to wear like now, back then, and I was so afraid. I was like, I look crazy. Like, I had body image issues, and I thought flowy pants made me look like wider, and I didn't want to be like quote unquote wider. Like, I don't know, I was like 19, and I used to get all these compliments, and I was like, wait a minute. You know, like just trying something small with your fashion that's more you. Maybe you're hiding that, something that you like, something you enjoy. Stick it in your fashion, you know? I used to also, like, I don't look good in like certain neutral colors. Like, it does not suit me. Like, it brings out the red. It's giving like rosacea whenever I wear like a black shirt. It does not look good on me. And then I started wearing colors that like I enjoyed, and like it actually complements and suits me a lot better. So fashion is another example for expressing yourself. I mean, people say it all the time, like you can express yourself with fashion, but truly think about it. Like, what's something that you wouldn't wear because you think it's not in, or you think that it's not acceptable, and just kind of slowly stick it into your wardrobe? Is it like fun socks that you don't wear because you're like, why would I wear these to work? Like, put them on one day and just see what happens. Okay, at this point in the episode, I'm pretty much just assigning you little tasks to do. So this next one has to do with music. Share something on your Instagram story, like music that you enjoy. And it can be weird. Like, if you're secretly a theater kid, like, let it show. Put up that Mamma Mia song from like 10 years ago that nobody's listening to right now. Share it because you enjoy it. You know, like, put up a song that you literally enjoy that you wouldn't share because there's something about the song that you're like, nah, this isn't something I'd put on my Instagram story. Like, put it up. Put it up. It'll help you grow. Another step involving Instagram that I think is an awesome tool to help you is create a photo dump that has things in it that you're finding pretty or aesthetic, or like make it a task. Like, go out and take a bunch of pictures of things that you find pretty, aesthetic, something that like captures what you enjoy. It can be funny, stupid stuff, like whatever your vibe is. Just get like 5 photos and make a photo dump on Instagram, and do not care. Do not, like, you can make it a goal is to not even put yourself in it unless you want to put yourself in it, but just to overcome this step of like being afraid to post something on Instagram if it's not aesthetic or whatever. Maybe make the first photo aesthetic and then post whatever you want in the next few pictures. It will literally help you grow because you will see that nobody cares what you post. Again, when I say nobody cares, I don't mean it in a mean way. I just mean it in an empowering way where nobody cares. Like, you can actually post what you want. So do that as well. Make it and then tag my page at Happy Holistic Hippie. Like, put me in the last photo or something like that. Like, stick me in there. Let me know, because I want to see you guys growing, because I've started to do it on different social medias, just like posting what I want, and it's just so freeing. And it may even seem scary, but just do it once. You can delete it. You can go and delete it if it's really getting to you in the future, but just do it. It's so going to help you grow. After you cry in the airport and post your favorite musical song, post a dump on Instagram of stuff that you actually enjoy. Not that it's super aesthetic and like fits your feed. It could fit your feed if that's something you want to post and you're not posting. But just think about what fake rules are stopping you from posting something you like, and then post that thing that you like. Those are all the tasks that I have for you. They're just going to help you feel so much freer once you do these. And I have a mindset shift that might help you during the week as well. That's a little bit more mental than physically taking an action. I may have mentioned Gabby Bernstein has this method in her manifestation book, but I feel like you can apply it in a lot of different ways. It's called the Choose Again method. And it's what I was saying before, where you're in the present moment and you don't have to feel that guilt that feeling, that bad feeling that, oh, I'm doing something wrong or this isn't right, you always have the power to literally choose again. You can change your thoughts, and you can also teach yourself compassion while you're doing this. A big part of self-healing and leveling up your life is being kind to yourself. Learning not to feel bad for thoughts, feelings, or regret, but feeling empowered that the current you can make that new choice now. So Gabby Bernstein's method is basically like anytime one of those thoughts comes up where you're like, no, I shouldn't do this, or like this isn't cool, or you turn it around on yourself, I'm lame, I shouldn't be doing this. You can pause. It's all about pausing. You take a moment. You thank your brain for the thought, because most of the time when your brain is doing that negative thinking pattern, I am this, I am that, I'm not that, I'm not this, it's to protect you because it wants you to fit in. I'm going to talk about in a second why your brain actually wants you to fit in, because it has to do with evolution. That's why we have all these weird thoughts in our heads. It's basically like the animal instinct in us. So thank your brain for trying to protect you. And you can say something along the lines of, okay, thanks brain for trying to protect me, but I am now switching the thought to this. And then you can repeat like an affirmation or something, or just the actual new thought that you want. But this is how you train your brain. Think about when you train a dog, you know? Although most of the time I feel people train dogs too meanly, like they yell at them. We're not yelling at ourselves. We're thanking ourselves for the thought, letting ourselves know it doesn't serve us right now. We don't actually need that thought anymore, and that we're going to choose this thought instead. So it's pausing. Whenever you catch yourself having a bad thought or saying something negative about yourself, just pause. Thank yourself for the thought, for trying to protect you in some way from something, and then choose the next best feeling thought, whatever you can reach in this moment. It doesn't have to be like a delusional thought. You don't have to jump and be like, okay, fine, I don't hate myself, I am the happiest person ever. But you can just choose something that feels good for you in that moment, that's pointing you in that right direction. So let's go back a little bit when I said our brains are trying to protect ourselves from something, and that evolution actually plays a part in this. It's kind of like in the beginning when I said that social media like really freaks out the wiring in your brain. Your brain's like, why am I seeing so many people? Why is so much happening? Why am I not doing that? But our brain also feels that when we compare ourselves and we want to fit in, because our old way of life, when we used to be nomadic, when we used to live in tribes or kind of like towns and stuff like that, we want to fit in because if we get cast out in some way, we're not going to survive. If we do something that the tribe doesn't like, they're going to kick us out and we're going to starve and we're going to get attacked by a tiger and we're not safe. So by doing something that makes us not fit in, we lose our safety. But we have to remind ourselves that we're totally safe on our own. We're literally rewiring the brain. That's why I gave you all those weird steps before that you're probably like, what does this literally have to do with me comparing myself to Kylie Jenner? It will help you because your brain is wired to have these thoughts because it's in survival mode. So isn't that funny? That's where a lot of these comparison thoughts pushing down our self-worth and telling us we have to do things a certain way actually stem from. So that's why we can say thank you to them, because there's a part of you that's trying to protect yourself, trying to make sure you don't die, don't get cast out in the cold winter and you have to walk to like, what was it called? Pangea. You have to walk all over Pangea because now you don't fit in with the tribe and you're nomadic and you're by yourself. It's not going to happen to you. I don't think so. You can post an Instagram picture. I don't think you're going to end up walking in a storm because of it. But again, oddly enough, a lot of it comes from fear. Now, here is where I'm going to dive in to the woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo. Are you in the chakras? Because that's what we're going to talk about in this last section. So chakras are energy centers in the body. I can go into it deeper or we can talk about it a separate time. I just want to get to the basics of it. The chakras in the body, the 7 main chakras. From the root chakra, which is located at the base of the spine, you work your way up. It's basically rainbow color in opposite order. So red's at the bottom and then like purple is at the top pretty much. And each of them represent something. Just like a sliding scale, there's 1 to 10. So 1 will be like the lowest level, like your battery's drained, and then 10 is when you're fully charged. So each of those represent like the duality of each chakra. So when it's 1, that's its lowest. So for example, when your root chakra is drained, 1, it's in fear. Moving it all the way up to 10, you feel safety and security. So you want to think of it that way. So each of them have like the quote unquote negative side, but it's basically like the unhealed, the drained version of it. And then once you like work on that chakra or do things that help get the energy flowing through those chakras, you get back to like the good thing. Basically the good stuff's on the 10 side and the bad stuff is on the 1 side. that was my crash course, Chakras for Dummies. You can find it in my Instagram bio. I'll link it below. But basically, when your root chakra is all out of whack, you're in fear. You feel unstable. So when you think about the root chakra, it's the last chakra in the body. It's closest to the ground. It's the thing that helps us feel grounded. It's that connection of safety and security, and that you're here, you're stable. And when you feel unbalanced, for example, like for me, when I travel a lot, I feel like my root chakra got really unbalanced because I felt like I didn't have a home. I was like living out of a bag, basically. So I felt a little bit unbalanced with things. And that's how you'll feel when your root chakra is out of balance. The last 3 chakras, so root chakra, sacral chakra, and solar plexus, have to do with the earthly, worldly things. And the more that you move up the spine, it gets a little bit more into like the spiritual realm of things. So like your third eye up there has to do a lot with intuition and all of that. And think about how far up the third eye chakra is, which is the middle of your forehead, from your root chakra. So the bottom few have to do more with earthly matters. So the next one is sacral chakra. That's going to be above your root chakra. That's going to be kind of like close to your navel. It's supposed to be right under your navel, pretty much like your reproductive area. That has to do, when it's on level 10, when it's like fully charged, has to do with your creativity, your sensuality, all of that, like how you can create, how empowered you are, all of that jazz. And then when it's drained, you feel guilt. So you feel guilt for wanting to be creative, or wanting those jobs where you can be creative in it, or being even like sensual. That's where those issues will stem from. And then the one above it, which again is one of the other like earthly human kind of issue chakras, is your solar plexus, which basically represents confidence. So when you're not feeling confident, you're feeling the opposite, which is going to be like shame for doing what you want. So basically, when your bottom 3 chakras are drained, you're fearful, you're feeling guilty, and you're feeling shamed. And I feel comparison has to do a lot with those. So ways that you would work on healing those chakras, I'm also going to give those examples in this episode, because I feel like it could be an issue with those bottom 3 chakras as well, and working on ways to resolve that, which is why I grouped in a lot of stuff about confidence. I even have an episode that I did on confidence. It was like 2 or 3 episodes ago, if you really want to go into that, but I'm going to give more specific examples to this one here. And let me know if you want to know more about chakra stuff. We can do a whole episode about it. I can go into it with more of a script. That was all really free balling right there. So the number one thing that people say when your root chakra is out of whack is to ground yourself, which you could physically go outside and like stand in grass, but spending time in nature, spending time doing things that are going to keep you connected to the earth. So eating really natural foods, going outside, spending time doing those types of things are going to help ground you. Doing things that make you feel safe and comfortable. So spending time with self-care, having a night in, not feeling like you're on fight or flight or running around all the time. Like taking the time to just soothe yourself will really help with that. Some other examples that kind of combine all 3 of those, I just wrote them out. So number 1 that I would prescribe to you as a chakra doctor for today's episode, creating a vision board, like spending time putting that creative energy into something that you enjoy. Go on Pinterest, save some pretty photos, type in different types of aesthetics, different goals you have, and make a vision board. We have a new moon coming up this week that this episode is dropping on Thursday. So that would be actually a really good thing to do for the new moon, because it's all about putting out new intentions, new beginnings. But making a vision board, it can be a vision board for any time. Just taking some time to do it, like have a self-care night with that. It'll help you feel safe. It'll help you feel calm. It channels your creativity. It channels the part of you that wants to do something and pushes the guilt away. Like it forces you to face what you want to do, what you want to enjoy, and who you want to be in a really fun, creative way. In general, spend some time doing art, connecting to your creative side, maybe finding an app that you can create stuff on. Remember when we were kids, we used to play computer games. We would dress people up. We would do different things with the dolls and the toys on the game. Try to find a game where you can do something creative. It could be like Minecraft. It could be anything, but something that where you're creatively doing something, or even just a game you used to play as a kid, really connecting to that inner child, doing something that you loved as a kid. You loved it for a reason. It might tie into something else in your life. So taking time to explore that is really good for those bottom 3 chakras and helps keep you calm, keep you balanced, and explore a little bit more about your self-expression. And then finally, confidence-wise, the tips that I said in this episode, don't forget them. Don't skip over them. Those are the big tasks I want you to focus on for this next phase, this next month. We have, again, that new moon coming up. So maybe set one intention to post on Instagram one of the things, or try something that I talked about, because they really do help. I promise. And my last bit of advice has to do from a book by Mel Robbins called The High Five Habit. It's a really good book for helping with self-esteem. If you feel like that's an issue that you're having, I feel like it's a great read. I can link it below as well. But in The High Five Habit, she has something that I feel like you can use every day. You can use it on the go to help correct your mind. Just like I was saying before, like training a dog, the way that we pause and do that choose again method where we're like, okay, thank you for that thought, but here's what we're going to do now. This method is similar. So the high five habit is every time you wake up in the morning every day, you're going to go into the bathroom. And most of the time in her book, she explains that we look at ourselves and we make all these negative comments before anything. We look at ourselves, we see our bags, we see acne. We're like, oh, my hair looks bad. This looks bad. I look so tired. As those thoughts are coming in or before they're coming in, you're just going to put your hand up. Don't think I'm crazy. There's like science behind this. You're going to put your hand up to the mirror. You can fog it up. You can keep it a few inches away. And you're going to high five yourself. You're going to put your hand to the reflection of your hand. And you're going to smile and just say, you can say any affirmation you want. Most of the time, I'm just like, I love myself. And it sounds so weird. And it's going to feel funny, especially if you have a hidden hate for that, which is going to be like a self-love issue. Because I hated saying I love myself for a long time because I felt like there was a lot of negative stuff around that. Like I thought it was like conceited, blah, 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 like years ago. But I'm just saying, putting your hand up in front of that mirror every morning, it really starts to solidify in your head and cut out the ideas, like the bad talk before it even happens. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll like go on Snapchat and I'll see my reflection in the camera and I hear myself making the thoughts. I like shove my hand up on the phone and I'm like, it's going to be a good day. I just say that. That's what I like to say when I do it. I just put my hand against the mirror and I say, it's going to be a good day. And I smile. And then when you smile, it kind of makes, like when you see yourself smile in the mirror, it makes you smile even more. And you just feel good. So you can use that as a corrective exercise if you want. Do the choose again method too. I was going to say instead of the choose again method, but I think it's also a really good method. But try the high five habit. You can also read the book if you want. But the book was pretty much what I just said. You put your hand up to any reflective surface that you see, or you can pretend to put it up if you're too afraid, but high five yourself, say, I'm going to have a good day, I love you, and it really helps heal that relationship with yourself. It's a tiny stepping stone, but these are the steps to build that key to let you out of that comparison trap. I think that's it for this week's episode. We can go more into any of these topics. I say it at the end of any episode. I love it. And I've actually been getting some DMs recently that I'm like so excited about. I always say it. If you like this episode, if you want to talk about it, if you have any ideas for anything, please let me know. DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Happy Holistic Hippie. It's just one big word. Hippie is spelled like it is in the podcast. So HIPPIE. Happy Holistic Hippie. DM me. Talk if you want to talk about something in this episode, if you want to talk more about chakras, if you want to talk a little bit more about maybe like social media, different types of comparison, judgment, guilt, all of that. I'm listening. My ears are open. We can chat about it. I can even just do an episode about it. It's all good. I have some episodes coming up based on some things that I was DM'd recently. We got a little bit about travel coming up. I'm going to go do a Hawaii tell-all. So finally, I'm going to do a big episode about that. I'm also going to do a little bit about relationships and things like that because I got tons of messages. I'm bursting with ideas. I'm so excited. So thank you again for listening and taking the time to reach out to me because I really do enjoy it. I love hearing that you guys are enjoying the episodes. Like it's so fun to make these episodes and I love talking to myself. Like I said in the last episode, I came up with the last episode on the toilet talking to myself. So I'm doing it anyway. So might as well do it for an audience, you know? We have meditations coming up this week. I'm traveling next week, so I am actually filming and recording all of my episodes this week. So we're covered. We're good. We're not going to miss one. I'm going to have it pre-scheduled, so the episodes will be coming up Monday and Thursday for the next 3 weeks. Don't you worry. I got you covered. I said meditations would be up last week. I have them recorded. They're coming up. So the next 3 weeks, we're going to have meditations on limiting beliefs, on values. A little bit of meditation this week is going to help you with the comparison trap. So they go side by side. So keep that in mind that this meditation coming on Thursday ties in with this episode. And then we'll do limiting beliefs next week and another one that I won't spoil for you, but they're coming. Get ready, y'all. And yeah, I'm going to Greece next week, so I'm very excited for that. It's one of my favorite places. It has to do a little bit about yoga and all that jazz. I'll give you an update soon. Maybe in the next episode I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm back on the road. I'm back traveling. If you want to see anything that has to do with travel, hit me up because we're going to go through it again this week. And I'm meeting one of my friends who was one of my best friends in Hawaii, and she's coming too. So this is just all so exciting. I will catch up with you guys next week. Let me know as usual. Happy Holistic Hippie. out.